David's English podcast. Like, comment, share. Hello everyone, and welcome to David's English podcast. My name is David, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Whether you're a beginner just starting to learn English, or an intermediate learner looking to sound more natural and confident, this episode is designed specifically for you. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most practical and useful topics in the English language: how to talk about your daily routine. Now, you might be thinking, why is this so important? Well, let me tell you, describing your daily routine is something you'll do constantly in real conversations. When you meet new people, when you're in a job interview, when you're chatting with friends, or even when you're traveling abroad. This vocabulary is absolutely essential for everyday communication. In this episode, we're going to cover everything, from the moment you wake up in the morning, all the way through to when you go to bed at night. We'll explore the verbs, the phrases, the expressions, and the grammar that native English speakers use naturally every single day. By the end of this lesson, you'll have all the tools you need to confidently describe your day in clear, natural English. So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's get started. Section 1. Waking up and getting out of bed. Let's begin at the very start of the day. The first thing that happens every morning is that you wake up. Now, this is really important. We say wake up, not just wake. This is what we call a phrasal verb. A phrasal verb is a verb combined with a preposition, or an adverb that creates a new meaning. In American English, we use phrasal verbs all the time, and wake up is one of the most common ones. So you might say, I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, or I usually wake up around 7 a.m. Notice I said at, for specific times and around, when the time is approximate. Now, let's be honest. How many of you wake up and immediately jump out of bed full of energy? Not many, right? Most of us hit the snooze button. When you hit the snooze button, you're delaying your alarm for a few more minutes of sleep. You might say, I hit the snooze button 3 times this morning, or I always hit snooze at least once. After you finally stop hitting snooze, you need to get out of bed. We have a special phrase for this too. Get up. So wake up is when you open your eyes and become conscious. And get up is when you physically leave your bed and stand up. Here are some example sentences. I get up at 6:30 on weekdays. Or I usually get up right after my alarm goes off. Or on weekends. I like to get up late. Some people are morning people, and some are night owls. A morning person is someone who feels energetic and happy in the morning. A night owl is someone who prefers to stay up late and has more energy at night. You might say, I'm definitely not a morning person, or I'm a total night owl. I hate waking up early. Section 2. Morning bathroom routine. Once you get up, the next stop is usually the bathroom. Let's talk about all the things you do in the bathroom in the morning. First, many people use the toilet. In American English, we say use the bathroom or go to the bathroom. This is polite and natural. You wouldn't typically say the very direct words in polite conversation. Next, you'll probably wash your face. We say, I wash my face with soap and water, or I splash cold water on my face to wake myself up. Then, It's time to brush your teeth. We say brush my teeth, not clean my teeth. You might say, I brush my teeth twice a day, or I always brush my teeth before breakfast. Now let's talk about showering. In American English, we say take a shower. In British English, they often say have a shower, but in the USA, take a shower is much more common. You might say, I take a shower every morning, or I usually take a quick shower before work, or I prefer to take a long, hot shower. Some people take showers at night instead of in the morning. That's completely fine. You could say, I usually take a shower before bed. Or I like to shower in the evening after my workout. After you shower, you need to dry off. We say, I dry off with a towel, or I dry myself off. If you're a man who shaves, you would say, I shave my face, or simply I shave. Women might say, I shave my legs. You could also say, I need to shave, or I shave every other day. For hair care, we have several expressions. I wash my hair, I dry my hair, I blow dry my hair if you use a hair dryer. I brush my hair, I comb my hair, or I style my hair. And if you're someone who's losing hair, you might say, I'm going bald, but that's a topic for another day. Before we continue, I want to remind you that if you're finding this lesson helpful, please hit that subscribe button right now. David's English podcast releases new episodes regularly, and each one is packed with practical English lessons like this one. Subscribing ensures you never miss an episode. Plus, it really helps the channel grow and allows me to create more free content for learners like you. Okay, let's keep going. Section 3. Getting dressed. After you've finished in the bathroom, it's time to get dressed. This means putting on your clothes. We say get dressed, not wear my clothes. When we're talking about the action of putting them on, wear is for describing what you have on your body already. For example, I'm wearing a blue shirt, but I got dressed at 7 o'clock. You can also say, I put on my clothes, or more specifically, I put on my pants, I put on my shirt, I put on my shoes. The phrasal verb put on means to place clothing on your body. Here are some natural sentences. I get dressed right after I shower, or it takes me 10 minutes to get dressed, or I always get dressed before I have breakfast. Some people like to plan their outfits the night before. You might say, I pick out my outfit the night before, or I decide what to wear the night before so I don't waste time in the morning. Other people choose their clothes in the morning. I choose my outfit in the morning, or I pick out what I'm going to wear based on the weather. If you're someone who has to wear professional clothes for work, you might say, I put on my work clothes, or I get dressed in business attire, or I have to wear a suit to work. If you work in a casual environment, you might say, I can wear jeans to work, or my office has a casual dress code. And don't forget about accessories. I put on my watch, I put on my jewelry, I put on my belt. These small details complete your outfit. Section 4. Making your bed and tidying up. Now, some people make their bed every morning, and some people don't. There's no judgment here. If you do make your bed, we say exactly that. I make my bed, not I do my bed, or I prepare my bed. The correct expression is make my bed. You might say, I always make my bed as soon as I get up. Or making my bed is the first thing I do every morning. Or I never make my bed. I'm too lazy. Making your bed has become quite popular lately because many people believe it sets a positive tone for the day. You might have heard the phrase, if you make your bed every morning, you'll have accomplished the first task of the day. Some people also tidy up their bedroom in the morning. Tidy up means to organize and clean up a little bit. You might say, I tidy up my room before I leave for work, or I quickly tidy up and put away any clothes from yesterday. Section 5. Breakfast, the most important meal. Now let's talk about breakfast. Some people say it's the most important meal of the day, and some people skip it entirely. First, let's talk about the verbs we use. You can say either I have breakfast or I eat breakfast. Both are perfectly correct and natural. In American English, have is very common. I have breakfast at 7:30 every morning. If you eat breakfast quickly because you're in a hurry, you can say, I grab a quick breakfast, or I grab something quick to eat. The word grab here means to get something quickly. Now, what do Americans typically eat for breakfast? Let me give you some common options. Cereal is very popular. You might say, I have a bowl of cereal, or I eat cereal with milk. Toast is another common choice. I make toast, or I have toast with butter, or I eat toast with jam, or I have toast with peanut butter. Eggs are a breakfast staple. I make scrambled eggs. I cook fried eggs. I make an omelette, or I boil eggs. If you like a bigger breakfast, you might say, I make bacon and eggs, or I have pancakes on weekends, or I cook a big breakfast on Sunday mornings. For healthier options, I eat oatmeal. I have yogurt with fruit. I make a smoothie, or I eat a protein bar. And, of course, we can't forget about drinks. Coffee is huge in American culture. You might say, I drink coffee every morning, or I can't function without my morning coffee, or I make a pot of coffee, or I stop at Starbucks for coffee on my way to work. If you prefer tea, you would say, I drink tea in the morning, or I have green tea, or I prefer herbal tea. Some people drink orange juice. I have a glass of orange juice with breakfast. Now, what if you don't eat breakfast? You can say, I skip breakfast, or I don't usually eat breakfast, or I'm not a breakfast person, or I just have coffee in the morning. There's also a popular eating pattern called intermittent fasting. If you do this, you might say, I practice intermittent fasting, so I don't eat breakfast, or I fast until noon. Section 6. Preparing for the day. While you're eating breakfast, or right after, you might do several other things to prepare for your day. Many people check their phone first thing. You might say, I check my phone while I eat breakfast, or I scroll through social media, or I read the news on my phone, or I check my emails. Some people watch TV. I watch the news while I have breakfast, or I put on the morning news, or I watch a show while I eat. You might also prepare your lunch for work. I pack my lunch, or I make my lunch for work, or I prepare my lunch the night before. If you have children, your morning routine is much busier. You might say, I wake up the kids. I help them get dressed. I make breakfast for the kids. I pack their lunches. I drive them to school. Or I drop them off at the bus stop. If you have pets, you'll need to take care of them. I feed my dog. I take my dog out for a walk. I feed my cat, or I let the dog out in the backyard. Don't forget about gathering your things. I pack my bag. I grab my keys. I get my wallet. I make sure I have everything. Or I do a final check before I leave. Second subscribe reminder. I hope you're learning a lot so far. We're covering so much useful vocabulary today. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do that. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll know exactly when I upload a new English lesson. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on future episodes. We have so much more to cover. Okay, let's continue with talking about the commute to work. Section 7. The commute to work or school. Now it's time to talk about getting to work or school. The journey from your home to your workplace is called your commute. This is a very important word in American English. You might say, my commute is 30 minutes, or I have a long commute, or I have a short commute, or my commute takes about an hour. There are many different ways to get to work, and we use specific verbs for each type of transportation. If you use a car, we say drive. I drive to work, or I drive to work every day, or I drive myself to work. You might also say, I commute by car. If you carpool with co-workers, you might say, I carpool with my co-workers. Or we take turns driving. Or I get a ride with my colleague. If you use public transportation, here are the expressions. I take the bus. I ride the bus. I take the subway. I ride the subway. I take the train. Or I ride the train. Notice we use both take and ride for public transportation. You might say, I take the bus to work every morning, or I ride the subway downtown, or I commute by train. If you walk, simply say, I walk to work, or I commute on foot, or my office is close enough to walk. If you ride a bicycle, say, I ride my bike to work, or I bike to work, or I cycle to work. All three are correct and natural. In recent years, many people work from home. If this is you, simply say, I work from home, or I work remotely, or I telecommute. You might add, I don't have a commute because I work from home. During your commute, you might do various activities. I listen to music on my commute. I listen to podcasts while I drive. I read a book on the train. I catch up on emails on the bus. Or I call my mom during my drive to work. Some people have traffic problems. You might say, I sit in traffic every morning. Or I get stuck in traffic. Or there's always heavy traffic on my route. Or the traffic is terrible during rush hour. Rush hour is the time of day when everyone is commuting to work, usually from 7 to 9 a.m. and from 5 to 7 p.m. You might say, rush hour traffic is awful, or I try to avoid rush hour. Section 8. Arriving at work. When you reach your workplace, we say, I arrive at work, or I get to work. Both are equally common and natural. You might say, I arrive at work at 9 o'clock, or I usually get to work around 8:30, or I try to get to work early. Once you're there, You might say, I start work at 9, or my shift starts at 9, or I clock in at 9. Clock in means to officially record the time you start working, usually by scanning a badge or punching a time card. When you first arrive, you might have a routine. I grab a coffee from the break room. I check my emails. I review my schedule for the day. I chat with my co-workers, or I plan out my tasks for the day. During the workday, there are many activities you might do. Let me give you a comprehensive list. I attend meetings. I have meetings. I participate in conference calls. I answer emails. I respond to emails. I make phone calls. I talk to clients. I work on projects. I complete tasks. I collaborate with my team. I give presentations. I analyze data. I write reports. I file documents. I handle customer complaints. Or I solve problems. If you work in an office, you might say, I sit at my desk all day. Or I work at a computer. Or I stare at a screen for 8 hours. If you have a more active job, you might say, I'm on my feet all day, or I move around a lot at work. Section 9. Lunch break. Around midday, it's time for lunch. In American workplaces, lunch breaks are usually 30 minutes to an hour. We say, I take a lunch break, or I take lunch, or I go to lunch. You might specify the time. I take my lunch break at noon, or I usually have lunch around 12:30, or I eat lunch at 1 o'clock. Where do you eat? You have several options. If you eat at work, you might say, I eat lunch at my desk, or I bring lunch from home, or I pack my lunch, or I heat up my lunch in the microwave, or I eat in the break room, or I eat in the cafeteria. If you go out, you might say, I go out for lunch, or I eat out, or I grab lunch at a restaurant, or I pick up food from a nearby cafe, or I go to the food court. Fast food is popular for quick lunches. I grab something quick, or I hit the drive-thru, or I pick up fast food. Some people order delivery to the office. I order delivery, or we order food as a team, or I use a food delivery app. What about the food itself? You might say, I have a sandwich. I eat a salad. I have leftovers from last night's dinner. I eat a burrito. I have soup. Or I just snack on something light. Some people skip lunch or eat while working. I skip lunch, or I work through lunch. Or I eat at my desk while I work. Or I don't have time for a proper lunch break. Section 10. Afternoon at work. After lunch, you continue with your afternoon work. The afternoon can sometimes feel long, especially if you're tired after lunch. You might experience what people call the afternoon slump. This is when you feel tired and less energetic. After lunch, you might say, I always get sleepy in the afternoon, or I have an energy crash around 3 p.m., or I need coffee in the afternoon to stay awake. To combat this, many people say, I take a coffee break, or I grab an afternoon coffee, or I walk around to wake myself up, or I do some stretching. Your afternoon work continues. I finish up projects. I wrap up tasks. I prepare for tomorrow. I attend afternoon meetings, or I respond to any urgent emails. Third, subscribe reminder. We're making great progress through the day. I want to take a moment to remind you to subscribe to David's English podcast if you're enjoying this lesson. Learning English is a journey, and I'm here to help you every step of the way with clear, practical lessons just like this one. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of English learners from around the world. Now, let's talk about finishing work for the day. Section 11. Finishing work. When your workday ends, there are several ways to express this in English. The most common expressions are: I finish work, I get off work, I leave work, or I clock out. Get off work is very popular in American English. You might say, I get off work at 5. Or what time do you get off work? Or I got off work early today. You can also say, I'm done with work. Or I'm finished for the day. Or my shift ends at 6. Or I leave the office at 5:30. Before you leave, you might do a few things. I shut down my computer. I clean up my desk. I say goodbye to my co-workers. Or I make a to-do list for tomorrow. Section 12. After work activities. After work, people do all kinds of activities. This is your free time to relax or be productive. Some people go straight home. I go straight home after work. Or I head home. Or I drive home. Or I commute home. Others have errands to run. Errands are necessary tasks you need to do, like shopping or going to the bank. You might say, I run errands after work, or I have errands to do, or I need to stop at the grocery store, or I pick up groceries on my way home. If you go to the gym, you might say, I go to the gym after work, or I work out after work, or I hit the gym, or I exercise, or I do a workout. Some people have hobbies or activities. I have a yoga class. I go for a run. I play basketball. I attend a painting class. Or I meet up with friends. Social activities are common too. I meet friends for dinner. I grab drinks with co-workers. I hang out with friends. Or I catch up with a friend over coffee. If you have kids, your afternoon is busy. I pick up the kids from school. I take them to soccer practice. I help with homework. Or I drive them to their activities. Section 13. Evening at home. Once you're home for the evening, your routine continues. When you first arrive home, you might say, I get home around 6, or I arrive home, or I walk in the door. Many people have an unwinding routine when they first get home. Unwind means to relax and distress. You might say, I change into comfortable clothes. I put on my pajamas. I change out of my work clothes. Or I take off my shoes and relax. Some people say, I kick off my shoes, which means to remove your shoes in a casual, relaxed way. You might also say, I decompress after work, which means to release stress and relax. Section 14. Cooking and eating dinner. Now it's time for dinner, the evening meal. If you cook, here are natural ways to express this. I cook dinner. I make dinner. I prepare dinner. I fix dinner. Or I whip up something to eat. Whip up means to make something quickly. You might be more specific. I cook pasta. I make chicken and vegetables. I grill some steak. I bake fish. Or I throw together a salad. If someone else cooks, you might say, my partner cooks dinner. My spouse makes dinner. We take turns cooking, or we cook together. If you don't cook, you have other options. I order takeout. I order food delivery. I use a food delivery app. I eat out at a restaurant. I go out to eat. Or I grab something quick. For eating dinner, we say, I have dinner, or I eat dinner. You might say, I have dinner at 7, or we sit down for dinner at 6:30, or I eat dinner in front of the TV, or we eat dinner as a family at the dining table. After dinner, someone has to clean up. I do the dishes. I wash the dishes. I load the dishwasher. I unload the dishwasher. I clean up the kitchen. Or I wipe down the counters. Section 15. Evening activities and relaxation. After dinner is when most people truly relax and enjoy their free time. Here are common evening activities. Watching TV is probably the most popular. I watch TV. I binge watch a series. I catch up on my favorite shows. Or I watch Netflix. Reading is another great option. I read a book. I read before bed. I'm reading a novel. Or I enjoy reading in the evening. Using technology, I browse social media. I scroll through Instagram. I watch YouTube videos. I play video games. Or I surf the internet. Staying connected, I call my family. I video chat with my parents. I text my friends. Or I catch up with people online. Some people are productive in the evening. I study. I work on a side project. I practice my hobbies. I work on my business. Or I learn something new online. Creative activities. I draw. I paint. I write in my journal. I play guitar. I work on crafts. Or I do creative projects. Physical activities. I do yoga. I stretch. I meditate. Or I go for an evening walk. Household tasks. I do laundry. I fold clothes. I tidy up. I organize things. I pay bills. Or I plan for the week ahead. I really hope you're getting a lot of value from this detailed lesson on daily routines. Remember, if you want more lessons like this that help you speak English naturally and confidently, make sure you're subscribed to David's English podcast. I put so much effort into creating content that actually helps you improve. And subscribing is completely free. It just takes one click. All right, let's move on to preparing for bed. Section 16. Bedtime routine and preparation. As the evening gets later, it's time to start preparing for bed. Your bedtime routine is just as important as your morning routine. We say, I get ready for bed, or I prepare for bed, or I start my bedtime routine. If you haven't showered yet, you might say, I take a shower before bed, or I prefer to shower at night. The bathroom routine at night is similar to the morning. I brush my teeth. I floss my teeth. I wash my face. I use face cream. I do my skincare routine. Or I take off my makeup if you wear makeup. Getting into comfortable clothes. I put on my pajamas. I change into my PJs. I put on my sleepwear. Or I change into something comfortable. Many people prepare for the next day before bed. I set out my clothes for tomorrow. I pack my bag for work. I prepare my lunch for tomorrow. Or I check my calendar for the next day. Don't forget the alarm. I set my alarm. I set my alarm for 6 a.m. Or I make sure my alarm is on. Section 17. Relaxing before sleep. Before actually going to sleep, many people have relaxing activities. Reading is very popular. I read for 30 minutes before bed. I read a chapter of my book, or I like to read before I fall asleep. Some people listen to things. I listen to a podcast. I listen to calm music. I listen to white noise, or I listen to an audiobook. Meditation and mindfulness. I meditate before bed. I do breathing exercises. I practice mindfulness, or I use a meditation app. Physical relaxation. I stretch. I do some light yoga, or I take a hot bath. Many people use their phones, although sleep experts say this isn't ideal. I scroll through my phone. I check social media one last time, or I watch videos on my phone. Some people write. I write in my journal. I keep a gratitude journal, or I write down my thoughts. Section 18. Going to sleep. Finally, it's time to actually go to sleep. We say, I go to bed, not I go to sleep. Go to bed means to get into your bed, while fall asleep or go to sleep refers to the actual process of sleeping. You might say, I go to bed at 10:30, or I usually go to bed around 11, or I try to go to bed by 10 on weeknights, or I go to bed late on weekends. Before you sleep, I turn off the lights. I close the curtains. I adjust the temperature. I set the thermostat. I plug in my phone to charge, or I make sure the doors are locked. Some people have specific sleep preferences. I sleep with a fan on. I need complete darkness to sleep. I use a sleep mask. I use earplugs, or I need white noise to fall asleep. When you're ready, I close my eyes. I try to fall asleep. I drift off to sleep. Some people fall asleep easily. I fall asleep quickly. I fall asleep within minutes, or I'm out like a light, which is an idiom meaning you fall asleep immediately. Others have trouble. It takes me a while to fall asleep. I toss and turn. I have trouble falling asleep. Or I'm a light sleeper, which means you wake up easily. Section 19. Weekend routines. Before we wrap up, let's talk about how routines change on weekends. Most people have different routines on Saturday and Sunday compared to weekdays. You might say, I sleep in on weekends, which means you wake up later than usual. I don't set an alarm on Saturdays, or I wake up naturally on weekends. Weekend mornings are usually more relaxed. I take my time in the morning. I have a leisurely breakfast. I make a big breakfast, or I go out for brunch. Brunch is a combination of breakfast and lunch, usually eaten between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. I go out for brunch on Sundays, or we meet friends for brunch. Weekend activities are different. I do chores around the house. I run errands. I go shopping. I catch up on things I couldn't do during the week. I spend time with family. I pursue my hobbies, or I do whatever I want. Some people are productive. I meal prep for the week. I clean the house. I do yard work, or I work on home projects. Others fully relax. I do absolutely nothing. I have lazy weekends. I just relax and recharge. Or I binge watch shows all day. Section 20. Useful phrases for describing frequency. Now let's talk about how to describe how often you do things. This is crucial for talking about routines. For things you do every single time, use always. I always brush my teeth before bed. Or I always have coffee in the morning. For things you do most of the time, use usually or normally or generally. I usually wake up at 6. Or I normally eat breakfast at home. For things you do many times, but not always, use often or frequently. I often work late, or I frequently skip lunch. For things you do some of the time, use sometimes. I sometimes take the bus to work, or sometimes I go to the gym after work. For things you rarely do, use rarely or seldom. I rarely eat fast food, or I seldom stay up past midnight. For things you never do, use never. I never skip breakfast, or I never work on weekends. You can also use phrases like every day, every morning, every night, every weekday, on weekdays, on weekends, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, from Monday to Friday, or once in a while. Conclusion and final call to action. And there you have it. We've just gone through a complete day in English. From the moment you wake up in the morning, all the way through to when you fall asleep at night. We've covered so much vocabulary, so many phrases, and so many natural expressions that native English speakers use every single day. This is practical, real-world English that you can start using immediately. Now, here's my challenge for you. I want you to practice describing your own daily routine out loud. Start from when you wake up and go all the way through to bedtime. Use the vocabulary and expressions we've learned today. Say it out loud, even if you're alone. This speaking practice is absolutely crucial for building fluency and confidence. You can also try writing out your daily routine. This will help reinforce the vocabulary and grammar structures we've covered. Remember, learning a language is all about consistency and practice. The more you use these words and phrases, the more natural they'll become. Before you know it, you'll be describing your daily routine in English without even thinking about it. If you found this episode valuable, I have a few requests for you. First, please subscribe to David's English podcast if you haven't already. I create new lessons regularly, and each one is designed to help you speak English more naturally and confidently. Subscribing is free, and it ensures you never miss a lesson. Second, if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up or leave a positive rating. This helps other English learners find the podcast. Third, share this episode with anyone you know who's learning English. Learning is better when we do it together. And finally, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment telling me about your daily routine. What time do you wake up? What do you have for breakfast? What do you do after work? Practicing in the comments is a great way to use what you've learned. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I know that learning English takes dedication and effort, and I'm honored that you chose to learn with me. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and remember that every bit of practice brings you closer to fluency. You're doing great, and I'm proud of you for investing in yourself and your English skills. I'm David, and this has been David's English Podcast. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep improving your English. Take care, and goodbye. David's English podcast. Like, comment, share.